This is the U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
And by the way,
so every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older
He's following the rules.
Social Security provides a critical lifeline.
The rules-based order.
Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take?
The chair will advise that the rules do care.
Yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck.
That's it?
The first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after, I did not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
Just you should have said 6%.
You still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other?
That was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, you should have said you're increasing their 1% to 6% like everyone else. But then after you said that, then even people under this, I think I don't think he prepped on that one.
Maybe not. It's a pretty standard point of his.
You think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing I'll do is we defeat this man because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare. Both
true. It's true.
And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that he, I believe, supports, is in fact want to cut it as well.
True.
The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. I
am a senior.
They don't work, so.
The ideas that we don't protect our seniors is insane. Can you imagine Donald Trump without medication?
Healthcare coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said,
also, I'm a senior.
Where 400,000 people, 40 million.
At least you don't have to worry about me getting my salary for the rest of my life. It'll only be a year.
I love that Biden was he was like 400,000. Excuse me, 4 million people. But Trump response would be millions of people. You can never get an exact number out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's already hundreds of millions, millions, billions.
They're all coming. Here they come.
And by the way, the other thing is we're in a situation where we talk about education.
You should stay and actually listen to what we say because we've been criticizing and giving them both of them props. So, yeah, you stay and learn.
For Black communities, I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 towards tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it.
No, you.
So many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop.
Well, this is him solidifying his points with his
Ukraine. And everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation.
I thought you didn't like those words.
Story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it. Because millions of people are pouring into our country.
Millions of people are pouring into our country.
They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in.
Can you fucking like make a point, bro?
Our citizens, what they're doing to the VA, to our veterans is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. By the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason
True.
why we have the most
True.
successful economy in the
That's a
world.
thing that people
We're doing
also,
better than
like
any other
economists,
nation
are
in the
actually
world.
pointing out,
And by the way,
is
those
that
15
Trump's
Nobel laureates who
policies
talked about being
are
phony, those
pro-deficit.
15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said
They're
that if
pro-inflation.
Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession, and inflation is going to increasingly go up.
It's
by the way,
100%
worst
true.
president
All the
history.
policies presented
Okay.
about, like, because like migrants are the reason why we have like the
Mm.
economy in the shape it is, right?
Mhm.
So he's talking about policies to ban them, right? That's a pro-inflation, pro-deficit policy.
Yeah.
It's like impossible for it not to be. It's just a
Mhm.
fact of the matter. So then he would counter and just say, no, but we're stopping the illegal ones, even though all his policies did was increase illegal migration last
Mhm.
time.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I don't
I
think
didn't
anyone
give a shit.
can say that Biden performed well. I think this entire
We'll
debate
see.
CNN is the one who's performed the worst.
Yes, yeah, we were saying before that CNN's the loser in this debate. But yeah, no, it's just insane. Like, but neither of them should be here. That's
Yeah, I was
the
saying
most
that
insane
Kamala
thing.
Harris would have been better for this debate. They should have sent her.
Yeah.
At least she'll be awake.
59 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child.
And
For
I'm
many
sure you've,
families,
you
the
know,
cost of
encountered
childcare
plenty
for
of
2
veterans in
children
the
is
shelters
more
and
than
stuff.
their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child
I
care more
love this though.
affordable?
Like, I really love this comment from
just-
Cal though, because the way he like pretexts some words here, receiving relatively privileged treatment. Obviously, they obviously don't have privilege if they're in a shelter to begin with, but in comparison, yeah,
To go back, the
I'm a literal
general got
talking
fired
point,
because
true.
he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is,
I agree. His policies are
Doesn't
actually
fire
competent,
people.
and I think largely
fired
the
people.
way that people act, like I said already, the way people act like he's supposedly on autopilot. There is no decision that a president has to make that's a snap decision. It's just not, like, even Obama slept on the fucking kill against bin Laden when it was presented to him. Like, it's not a thing. So like if his time is slowed down, it still doesn't matter. Like that's the thing is if maybe not Ron DeSantis, but pretty much anyone on the Republican side could be here and beat this guy. But I can say the same thing for the Democrats. It's a fucking rerun, and that's why I think this, like, you know how voter turnout, or not voter turnout, but the amount of people who vote in the election is more every year by default. I think here's my 50-state landslide prediction. I think there will be less people voting in this election than the last one, and it will be historic for that reason.
What's the lowest voter turnout percentage-wise?
I don't know.
We should look that up because I reckon it'd be pretty close.
I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good.
No, you didn't.
Not easy to
Proportionally,
fire
there'll be
people.
less
You
people
pay
at a
a price
minimum.
for
Or
it,
is our
but they were no
population
good. I
lower than
inherited these
then?
people. I didn't put him. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired
Or
every
proportionally?
military man
Okay,
that
never
was
I mean,
mind.
involved with
it
that
was
the
the
Afghanistan,
largest turnout ever.
horror show, the most embarrassing.
Yeah, it is
moment
every
in the
time.
history of our country.
Mm.
He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's
Who
on the
cares?
border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody
not.
get fired for allowing
It's not.
18
In the
million
history
people,
of the
many
world,
from
he said.
prisons,
What a
many
moron.
from mental institutions? Did you fire
Hello.
anybody that allowed
You want
our
to?
country
Let's
to
talk
be
about some
destroyed?
worse borders, all right?
Joe,
Even
our
ones from
country is
history.
being destroyed as you
Iran
and I
and
sit up
Iraq.
here and waste
Whoa,
lot
that
of
was a
time
really
on this.
bad border for a few years, wasn't it? Gaza, which is a de facto state of Israel at this point, that's a bad border, huh? India,
Yeah, the Sinai
China.
border is, yeah. Kashmir.
bad border. North Korea, South
Pakistan,
Korea.
India.
Well, there's no crossings at that border, the North
Yeah.
Korea, South Korea one. But, like, what do you mean? Reverse
What
border in
about
what way?
the partition of India? That was a pretty bad border.
Yeah. But he said, yeah. No. I got what you said. I was just being dumb and reading wrong because I was thinking the word. I was like not reading the word proportionally there. You know, I was like just ignoring that word in my brain.
He's the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much.
Literally, the plan that you wanted, that you torpedoed, is what he did. I'm pretty sure. Basically the same thing, right?
I was reading chat. What did we say?
The executive order was essentially just the border bill that Trump vetoed, that Trump torpedoed after he got everything he wanted. It's pretty much
bill
what they
that
wanted.
the thing that Biden. Well, yeah, he did torpedo that bill, but the thing that Biden just passed was a Trump policy that was voted down. That Trump
that's what I mean.
Yeah, Trump did do that, though. It got voted down. And this one will, too. It's illegal what Biden did. Mm-hmm. And some say, political analysts say, that might be deliberate. He knows it's going to get voted down. And the things that he's attaching with it in the negotiations, it's basically he knows it's going to get voted down, but he's using this opportunity, this hold, to then grow the defenses. You know, it's like the day and night map in StarCraft 2. At night, you get your defenses, you know, in place, and you just focus on defending. And in daytime, you do unit production and attacks.
It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think
did we get rid of that?
I don't think so.
Our country doesn't have
I think what might have happened is that when I did the remasters of stuff, I just didn't have an old file of it.
Ah, okay. No, we must not have it.
Yeah, so that's yeah, I just remastered and it wasn't in there because I would have never deleted that one deliberately. Burp, burp.
Coming out of this rut, we probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world.
True.
We're the United States of America.
Yeah.
There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest.
Which one of these two people is a patriot?
The finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history.
True. They did do that. They did do that.
It is true. And you know who he beat as the worst? The people who literally bred the Civil War. Worse than them.
That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he
that's such a good point. The thing to be is he could argue they wrong, but they did vote. That was democratically chosen.
It was democratic.
Increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make childcare more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
We have polling. We have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me.
Show me. He said it loud enough that we knew what he said.
And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us.
We have polls too. Show me.
Raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times.
Nobody, I got a hot take.
All my life,
I don't think they would have to mute their mics. Trump would just not have to snort a bunch of Ritalin like he did in the last debates. Because like Biden is the one who's been talking and yelling with his mic muted. Trump hasn't done any of that. So I think Trump just needs to be the condition. They need to mandate he's in the condition he is now. Scared that a drug test might happen. because he is asking
Go
for
up, and I
it.
see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff.
Oh my God. They are set to expire in 2025. They are tax cuts on individual income and estates. Sounds like rich people.
That's Trump, though.
and
That's
then
literally
corporate
all he
tax-
did.
Yeah, corporate tax change and interest. The impact of the deficit swells to $4.6 trillion. Means party blah 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 blah. Joe Biden. Okay. Donald Trump was very proud of his $2 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly benefited the wealthy and biggest corporations and exploited federal debt. Cool.
Yep. When people bitch about inflation, it was literally like, caused by him printing a bunch of money. He printed so much money. That's the thing, is he printed so much money that it did drop our inflation to 0. But then what happens after that because of the money supply increase?
Yeah. You need to pull that money back out of the supply. That's the problem.
He's lucky it didn't. He's lucky it didn't fucking go to -1.
Yeah.
It almost did because of him. That would have been Actually, I almost wish it did. That way he could shut the fuck up and act like his economy was good. We could literally point to. He could try to sell it and be like, "That's good. I was making people's dollars more," and like people will fall for that because they don't like. Because in your head, if you don't know anything about economy, it's like, yeah, I want my dollars to grow more. That's why I invested in crypto scams. Like, that's why crypto scams are sold to the stupid, most vulnerable people. Because a currency that makes money, no, that's not how fucking currency works in our system. Sorry.
Will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000.
Yes. Literally, the tax cuts expiring is a Biden policy. So I don't know why he's bringing that up.
I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food.
No, deflation literally is the worst thing that can happen. To America specifically, deflation might be the worst thing that could happen to us.
He somehow helped the middle class.
Like China had deflation, and I don't think that's a big deal for China.
No.
At the end of the day,
they're an export economy, and their currency is made of nothing. So
yeah, exactly.
It's backed by nothing, and nobody
but like
wants
us dropping into deflation, like that would not be a recession or a depression, And when I'm saying that, I'm talking about like how much the recession in 2008 impacted the world. We talk on here all the time about African nations, how fucked they were by 2008, and how nobody was punished for it except one fucking guy. Like, the world would be just devastated. Billions and billions would die. And he almost caused it. I've never thought it was possible for us to get so close to deflation.
Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact,
people
made any contact.
Trump was
Sorry, say that again.
Like, people have this idea, Tanya even says it, that Trump was the economy.
Yeah. I don't know how this propagated.
It's because of GDP. You can point to GDP and that instead of like median household income.
Right, number on graph, line on graph go up.
Yeah, it's literally China pulled people out of poverty. It's literally the same.
Crazy.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?